Good afternoon, Stitch Roadies. Well, welcome to the Beehive. If you notice something different, I went and got my hair cut today. It's the first time that I've actually had the full meal deal since COVID started. I mean, I had shampoo, a conditioner, a haircut, styling, blow dry, the whole 9 yards. And what a gift that was. What was really funny to me was that I made the appointment online. So I had never met the hairdresser, just trying to figure out, trying to establish some relationship on this side of the mountain and trying to figure it out. And it turned out the gal who cut my hair was Korean. It was like having one of my aunts or cousins cut my hair. And she had a lot of suggestions and did quite the great job, I think. I don't know. I feel 10 pounds lighter. And I didn't even give up anything. Yeah, I highly recommend. Go get a haircut. Don't diet. Just go get a haircut and you'll feel much lighter. Yeah. It's kind of overcast today. It looks like it's going to rain, but who knows? According to the news, and gee, it has been the wettest April in the Portland area for, some say since they started recording, some say over 10 years. Either way, it's been the wettest. And let me tell you, it has felt that way. It has felt that way. And although we're into May, it's supposed to be May flowers. We had a ton of flowers in April. So it'll be interesting to see what May brings. Yesterday was my dad's birthday. Yeah, he was 49 when he passed away, which kind of blows my mind because both my sister and I have children in their 40s. And when we look at our sons, it's hard to imagine our father. Because to us, being kids, he seemed old, but when we look at our children, they're so young. Yeah, he passed away too young, and he's very much missed. He would have been an amazing grandfather. He would have been an amazing grandfather. Of course, we would have had no control over our children, probably, because he was adventure. That's where both my mom and dad passed on to me that zest for wanting to experience everything. And I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Tomorrow will be the anniversary of his passing. So he passed 2 days after his 49th birthday. He barely got to, I can remember still, we gave him a book for his birthday. He never got to read it. Yeah, he was a prolific reader. Prolific. No matter how early you got up in the morning, he was already up and reading. So I think that's where we all in our family get that love affair with books and literature. Yeah. So May is a special month for our family. It's a special month. We have, the fence is almost completely done. This next week, we're so looking forward to this next week when our younger son and his family move in temporarily. They're going to be going back and forth between the two grandparents' house while they're selling their home. and then they'll be looking for a new home, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I know that there's going to be adjustments. I know that we have two active little grandsons, but all I can say is we're embracing the experience. We're embracing the experience. So the fence is almost done, which will be able to at least somewhat contain those monkeys in the backyard. Yeah. Today I was going to just stitch with you and just chit-chat. So I hope you've got your stitching. Otherwise, put me on pause. Go get your stitching. Get a snack. I have a little bowl of nuts. And I have a drink. And we'll just sit here and stitch and talk. Yeah, it'll be fun. I have 2 finishes and 1 fully finish for one for April and fully finished for May already. Let me just show you that first. So you know that I was working on Emily's Bliss. This was a kit I bought from Acorns and Threads. It is a Summer House Stitch Works and was kitted with silk threads, and oh my gosh, I'm in love. I'm now in love with silk threads. But here is my finish, fully finished. This is my first ever drum, and look at the top with the acorn and the leaves that I embroidered. Did some embroidery to put the stems in. I'm quite pleased. I have to say, I'm just quite pleased. I think the Oscar goes to me. I do. I did not standard for this girl, for this crafter, is I did not watch any YouTube on how to do a drum. I read the instructions that came in the pattern, because the pattern came with instructions on how to construct a drum. And then I did a little bit of jury rigging of my own. The only thing where I deviated from the pattern was I'm a die-hard wool stitcher, and I know wool, and I actually owned this wool that was in the kit, and so I decided that no, I was not going to just attach the wool to my stitch piece. I first backed the wool with Pellon SF101 so that it wouldn't ravel or stretch out. I did not want that to happen when I was trying to manipulate it to stitch it onto the drum with the sewing machine. So that's the only thing that I did differently than what her instructions in the pattern were. They were excellent instructions, and as you can see, it turned out. I did follow her suggestion here on the seam of stitching the seam by hand so that they would perfectly match up. The 2 seams would perfectly match up, and they did. I'm kind of tickled with myself. I am kind of tickled with myself. My first ever drum. Now I'm not going to be afraid of playing the drums. I'm not. Yeah. So I did get that done. And so it's sitting up there with the wood Creations by Peter, which I have purchased, and I'll put the links down below. The next finish was, well, first let me tell you, have you got your stitching out? When I finished that drum, I was over the moon. And so I decided that I deserved a treat, which in a stitcher's mind meant that I get to stitch on whatever I want. And I'm not going to have any, I'm just going to have some fun. So I sat down on the floor where all my whips are, and I went through every single project bag and looked at the whips, because in my mind I was deciding that I think I'm going to do Ida and Ira next. I think I'm going to do that. Because I knew whatever I picked was going to be my compulsive stitch. But when I went through and I kind of, oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that, I was kind of bouncing all over. I had totally forgotten about my hashtag Barb's Prairie Year Sale. I totally forgot that. And this is one that I was doing with Barb Lost in Floss. I totally forgot about it. And so when I pulled it out, I said, oh my gosh, I need to do that, because April is upon us, or behind us. And April was almost done. So I finished April. So now I have January, February, March, April, and now it's May. So that's what we're stitching on today. That's what I'm stitching on today as we chit-chat. And again, for those of you who may be new, and oh, it's so funny. I just got a note that said Barb from Lost in Floss, because I posted a picture of this on Instagram, and she said, I just came across the chart and realized I need to get back to stitching them. Yes, Barb. We kind of both forgot. For those of you that are new to the channel, I went to Acorns and Threads to buy the fabric for this A Prairie Year. And in my mind, I was thinking, there's 12 of them. I need a big honkin' piece of fabric. And so Janine happened to have the call for fabric, and I bought a yard of it. A yard of it. And, they weren't very big. And so I have 4 done and only 8 more to do, and I'm not going to even use half this fabric. Yeah. I just want one donut. Yeah, one donut. I think I'll be satisfied with one donut. Not. So I'm bound and determined to stitch this one without cutting the fabric up, just to see how funny or underestimated or overestimating I was with the fabric. Yeah. What a crack up. Yeah. I'm still reveling in the joy of my retreat, which for me was a quilting and a cross-stitch retreat, and thinking about next year already. I'm going to eat a nut here. Sorry for the chewing. I have, my grandson and I filled up all the feeders out back, and it is hysterical to watch the acrobatics of the squirrels. Oh my gosh, they are hysterical. Where's, oh, this one. You know, I made a copy. I was going to make a working copy of my pattern, but the working copy, although it printed it, it didn't print the lines. So I decided, well, forget it. Just use the original copy. If it gets messed up, it gets messed up. You ready to stitch? You ready to stitch? Yeah. This last week I came to the realization that I have officially entered that period of life where friends and family have different health issues that come up for them, and that you just have to embrace life and let the anxiety kind of sucks the joy out of your life. So I have been working a lot in the last couple years on my anxiety, and feel like I have conquered a lot in the last couple years. Because it is a roller coaster that we live in, and boy, I tell you, stitching has made a huge difference. I think if a therapist advertised that they provide cross-stitching therapy, they would be overrun with phone calls. Overrun with phone calls. Yeah. I was watching, so I've been enjoying Ghosts, and several of you said that you thought the Ghost, the British version of the Ghost show was funnier. And I can't find it. So for those of you that watch it, leave in the comments where I find the British version. I was extremely excited yesterday to find out that Downton Abbey is coming out with another movie. Oh, that would be so fun. Because you kind of, you know, when you bond to characters, and Downton Abbey certainly is a show that many, many people bonded to. You know, I love, my favorite line is, my husband didn't kill his first wife because I'm still his first wife, because one of the characters in Downton Abbey was named Anna Bates, and her husband went on trial for supposedly killing his first wife. But when you bond with a show that way, it's like having friends and family come back. It's like having friends and family come back. And so I'm really looking forward to that movie. It'll be, I'm sure there are millions of people. I've kind of stopped watching. I love, because I was talking to my friend Robin, because we love the TikTok videos of any dog or animal TikTok video. We're all about it. But I've kind of taken a break because TikTok's being taken over by Johnny Depp and his, I think that's his wife, and I don't know. There's too much drama in the world, isn't there? Too much drama. I'm excited for camping season to really get ramping up. I was looking at the calendar, and we already are starting in May because my fabric stalkers we used to meet every month at someone's home, and I know that some months we have not been able to do that, but since we are all together in down in Sun River, we picked out a day in May that worked for a majority of us, and so I told G, I said, time to go camping. And so we'll be camping down there, and then I'll get to see my fabric stalkers again. It's kind of fun to kind of feel like you're getting out. I have a camping trip in June already scheduled. I have a camping trip in July already scheduled. Well, after all, Penny, our rolling beehive is our favorite bedroom. I know, it's kind of funny to say that, huh? So I'm starting on May. Oh, look at that fabric. I'm not sure this is my favorite fabric. This is, what is this? This is Davos 18 count khaki. And you have to be, with this particular fabric, you have to not pull too tight because of the way it's woven. Because it'll slide under the weave, if that makes sense. So what are you stitching on? Are you kind of taking a break for the good weather times? We're still having questionable weather. And we live close enough that anytime there's a break in well, even when there's not a break, we're close enough to the National Guard that they'll go up in their jets and be zipping around. I really want to start something entirely new. I just haven't decided what. It's I probably should decide pretty soon, because if it's not kitted up, I am going to Acorns sometime here in the near future because I have mail there, and one of the gals that hangs around with us here is visiting in town and wants to meet up. That would be fun. I can't wait to get my my hive back. Should be coming back next week. I should be getting it next week. Then I have to decide where to hang it. Lots of activity today on the street. We have been, it's been great because with the impending space that we're trying to create for our son and his family whenever they come here, we have been clearing out our own closets and piles. You know, it's kind of like, I feel like Pigpen in Peanuts, you know, where he's walking around and the little scurry of dirt is all around. That's all my stuff. That's all my stuff. And so I went through my closet and really got rid of things that I have not worn in the last, not even the last year. I had stuff that I have not worn in the last 5 years. And took my middle grandson and I took a big box of books and a big bag of clothes. And the next thing to do is to work on G's clothes, because I do believe that man has t-shirts from when he was a teenager. You know, we get, you know, there's something about old clothes, old t-shirts. They're soft. They're soft, and we don't want to give them up. You know, we don't want to give them up. But when you haven't worn them because your size has changed, you know, or there's a hole in a not so pleasing spot, you really have to think twice about it. You do. You have to think twice about it. So we're going through stuff. There was a chair that I took over to Goodwill that was an antique chair. I've been hauling it around for 40 years. Yeah, it's been in different places. Sometimes it's in the house, sometimes it's been the garage chair, and sometimes, but we just keep hauling it around, and we really don't need it. But you know, there's just sometimes you don't want to give something up, and you have no reason. Well, I'm putting on my big girl pants, and I'm giving stuff up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I finished reading this book by James Patterson, and it was called Never Never, and I actually decided to listen to it. I was glad that I decided to do an audiobook instead of reading it, because it's set in the outback, and it's like a police detective kind of storyline, but it's set in the outback, and the reader was Australian, so it gave the whole book a wonderful flavor because you got the accent with it. But I don't know if although I could not put it down because I wanted to see what happened, it's quite a violent book. Well, James Patterson, yeah, but this seemed especially violent. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And I'm in the middle of The Beast of a Little Land, which is a historical fiction over, you know, many years in Korea. And it just, I mean, it gave me an even broader understanding of how Korea has suffered. I mean, Korea was occupied and the people were stomped down and they were enslaved and they, you know, so much. And it explains so much about the culture, the strength, the resilience. It just explains a lot when you realize how many times they were occupied. I know my mother had a Japanese name. She couldn't keep her Korean name. She was a school teacher, and she had to teach school in Japanese, and yet some of her best friends later in life, she did not carry. She was strong, but she did not carry any hatred. Yeah. But it just was, it's been eye-opening. So I've enjoyed that read. I have several other books lined up, and I will take any suggestions. Let's see. I will tell you what is on the horizon. I'm a big library person. Are you a library person? I'm a big library. Well, and I love, I mean, I come by this naturally because my dad was, I mean, my parents had a room dedicated to books, and all kinds of books, all kinds of books. But I realized that there were some books I didn't need to keep, and so I did take a bag of books to Goodwill, but it was, yeah, so on my list in the next, whenever I get them, is Finding Dorothy, The Chemist, and I'm currently in The Beasts of a Little Land. Yeah, so Finding Dorothy is about the man who wrote The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, and then I also have on hold Ordinary Grace, Apples Never Fall, The Memory Librarian, and Dreamtown. Kind of like all over the board. I don't know if I'll like them all, but you know, I do like a variety. I guess this May Stitch, a Prairie Year May Stitch is a new start, but the one that's really calling to me. Do you have do your cross stitch projects talk to you? I mean, I find that they're quite chatty, and the Schitt's Creek one is really been gabbing. Really been gabbing. I'm trying to ignore it because I would like to get Gobble done. Of course, I forgot that thread on retreat, so it didn't. But I just feel like I can get Gobble done, but that Schitt's Creek one is really talking. But that doesn't have a deadline. I kind of went through my year, and there are some cross stitches that have a reason to get done by a certain date, and I really need to pay attention to that so I don't get stressed out. but it's really hard for me to listen to that reasonable voice. The reasonable voice in my brain means that I'm adulting, and I'm not real in favor of adulting. I can do it, but I'm not in favor of it. And so, yeah. I'm gonna have to go through all the project bags again. That last project bag I got is just so beautiful. And I was watching Brenda, and uh-oh, something happened. Oh yeah, right there. See? Something happened. Something happened. I needed to be over one more. So I'm going to move this over. I love it when I catch a wrong stitch when I'm only one stitch away from it, not like a whole row away. Well, what was I saying? Oh, I was watching Brenda and the Cereal Starter, and it was stressing me out because Brenda was picking out what Laura was going to work on in May, and it was totally stressing me out because I am such a feeling stitcher in that I have to be in the mood for a certain stitch, and it can't. I'm not a good listener, and I would not be able to stitch what someone else told me. It was just no way. But she did show a project bag on there that was made by the same person as my project bag, but hers was out of Teresa Koget's fabric, which is what Punky Pearl made my big Mondo bag. Not the Mondo bag is actually a bag that's a quilting bag, but it's a giant bag. And so such a pretty bag. Such a pretty bag. And I was looking at all the, I think I need to look at my samplers. I have Land That I Love started. I also consider that Begin as a sampler because it has the alphabet on it. I'm such an emotional stitcher. If I'm not feeling the love, I have a really hard time. And it's not that I fall out of love. I don't know what to say. I just really have to be moved by the project. It's kind of an interesting thing for me. I am not motivated by rules. That's why sals are so hard. This is poor Barb. This is Barb's Prairie Year sal. Well, I'm keeping up on it, but it was only by accident. I totally forgot about it. And then I have a sal with the Frozen Crafter, my Harry Potter. I don't think I've touched that. I'm a horrible sal person. There should be an event where like the love sal, where you pick whatever you're in love with that moment. And then the hashtag on Instagram will be all these different charts. Instead of the same chart everybody's working on, it would be hashtag love sal, and it would be all the different people who are in love with a particular project. Are you wrapping your mind around what I'm saying? I think that's a spectacular idea. And so I'm going to figure out if there's a sal, because you know there's so many heart sals, love sals, hashtag, I'll figure it out. And then you could just post whatever picture, a picture of whatever project you are currently in love with. Not like we all have to stitch the same thing. I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. Sometimes I'm impressed with myself. Any way to get out of a, oh, there goes the school bus. Oh, that means my favorite little student will be walking down the street. I've watched this boy grow over the last year. I swear he's grown 4 inches. Yeah, and in the last year he ended up with the cell phone. So when he's going down the street, he's marching down the street. He's got a cell phone in hand, and he's heading home. The bus just makes one stop at the corner. Yeah. Well, okay, I babbled enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out, stitching with me. Once I figure out, I'll post in the description box if I figure out what that hashtag is to post a, oh look at, he's not walking so fast because he's looking at his phone. I swear he must be 6 foot tall now. Yeah, I'll figure out what that hashtag is for you to post whatever you love, what you're currently stitching on. It's a stitch along. That's what you, so we have all these different pictures. I think it'll be fun. And I think we might find stuff that we all like. Yeah. Okay. Take care, everybody. Love you guys. Hope you all stay healthy and are having a good time. Send lots of good thoughts across the airwaves to all of us different stitchers who have challenges today. Love you guys. Bye.